You know, I'm not a huge fan of the phrase guilty pleasure. I don't think you should feel guilty about something that you like. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. Now, that said, there are some certain things that I do enjoy, that I like playing, that people would probably raise their eyebrows on. I think you guys have seen that in my videos from time to time, but I wanted to go over some of my favorite kind of either particularly guilty pleasure games or guilty pleasure style games today. We're going to kick things off with one on the Nintendo 64 that I know a lot of people are going to look at me and say, you're an idiot. And that's okay, you're allowed to have that opinion. But for me, my favorite game that Rare produced on the Nintendo 64 is Jet Force Gemini. I love the idea of Rare going actively into a sci-fi shooter campaign rather than relying on their typical platforming experience. This plays differently than any Rare game ever. It plays beautifully well. The storyline is great. The characters are fantastic. The aiming it's questionable, but the gameplay is really fun. I love the design of the characters. I love the design of the game. I love the different enemies, and I love every single level you go into. I think it is a beautifully designed title with a fantastic replay value, because it's something, for me at least, when I first saw this advertised, it was one that I went, that looks interesting. I'd like to try that one out. Now, that's not to say I don't like other Rare games. I love Blast Corps. I love the Banjo-Kazooie games. Conker's Bad Fur Day is phenomenal. I love Donkey Kong 64. Diddy Kong Racing is something I've come around on in recent years, but for me, Jet Force Gemini is #1 with a bullet. It is my absolute favorite piece of Rare software, and it is something that I immediately had to add back to my collection when I started collecting for the N64 again. Now, I have mentioned this one as a guilty pleasure in the past, and it's one that I don't necessarily feel bad about liking it. It's just, I think this is more a guilty pleasure because this is so wildly outside of my normal wheelhouse of games I typically play, and that is Lollipop Chainsaw on the Xbox 360. Now, I have said it before, this is James Gunn at his absolute most demented best. This is a tribute to exploitation films from the 1970s. It is a tribute to the films and experiences that were the formative years of James Gunn growing up that turned him into the director and producer we know today. And the game is not only a tribute to that stuff and like sticks the landing on it. Like, it's a fantastic slasher game that really feels like an old B movie, but it also leans into kind of the racy side of things by having, you know, scantily clad women inside of it. The language is racy. It's a very different type of game than I normally play. Like, I typically play platformers and stuff like that, but I'm a huge James Gunn fan, so jumping into this game, when I got into it, it was just like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted it to be. This is every slasher film that I loved from the 70s, just now interactive and playable. It's so good. It's so much fun. And I mean, you just can't go wrong with it. The storyline's ridiculous. It's exactly what you want it to be. Like, oh, yeah, no, there's totally an apocalypse going on that everyone knows about. It's great. It's a fantastic game. Definitely worth checking out. And this is kind of a stand-in for every kind of game in this variety, whether it's Starlink or LEGO Dimensions or Disney Infinity. But Skylanders Toys to Life are an absolute guilty pleasure for me. You know, as someone who is a toy collector, or was a toy collector, not so much anymore, but as someone who was a toy collector, finding a video game aspect of that leaned into amazing figure design and character selections and creative paint applications and things like that really made me excited. When you started tossing in things like LEGO Dimensions, where you were able to actively build the characters or the items you were using in-game, or the different bases that you were going to use to actually put onto where you actually read the characters, that was something that just captivated me. And then there were games like Disney Infinity where you actually got into game and were able to build things utilizing the different characters that you had. I thought it was great. King of those for me is Skylanders. Like, not to take anything away from Starlink or Dimensions or Infinity or anything like that, but Skylanders for me was something that, it was something I discovered with my son. It was the first game that Victor ever really got into, and it was something that we all as a family enjoyed playing. It was something that we played multiplayer together constantly, and Swap Force was the game that we started with. Now, they're not the deepest games in the world. They're certainly not difficult by any stretch of the imagination, or things that are going to tax you mentally as you're playing them, but they were things where, when my son was 5 and he just started getting into video games, it was Pokemon and it was Skylanders. Pokemon was the game he played by himself. Skylanders is the one we played together as a family, and I refuse to feel guilty about that. It's not something I feel bad about whatsoever. I still go back and play them to this day because I think they're fun. I do still need to beat Imaginators and Superchargers, but I think they're fun games. I think they're fantastically designed, and I'm really hopeful that Toys to Bob becoming a subsidiary of Microsoft is going to lead to more Skylanders games down the road, because I really think that as a franchise, Skylanders is a strong one, and it should come back. All right, next up, this is decidedly a guilty pleasure, because I can objectively look at this and say, nah, it's not a great game, but I love the concept of what is Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman. Now, this is a PS1 game, and it has literally the best theme song ever in a video game. Take a listen. I mean, come on, Johnny No More, you can't go wrong with that. It is such a fantastic song, and it does such a wonderful job setting the table for exactly what you're going to experience as you get into Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman. The game is ridiculous, it's over the top, it's terrible to control, like it does not play great. It is very much a victim of its time, a victim of being a PS1 title, but it's still something where I look at it and I have fun, and I still enjoy playing it, and I still go back to it, warts and all, and I still have a good time with it. That's also true for Pandemonium. Now, Pandemonium is not a deep game. It is a runner. That's all it is. You're moving left to right, you jump, you bounce, you're collecting tokens. That's it. You can play as 2 different characters. The game is as basic as it gets, but it was kind of that signature experience, right? When we first started getting into 3D games with the PS1 and the N64, the gameplay wasn't complex, but it was fun. It did the base thing very, very well. Now, I look at it today, and I look at other games that I'm playing, you know, stuff like the current Assassin's Creed titles, like Assassin's Creed Origins or Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Valhalla, that are 3D games, and they're significantly more complex and significantly more involved. And then I get to Pandemonium, and it's a jump button. It's like, it's kind of ridiculous in the grand scheme of things. And I do feel a little silly enjoying the game and its sequel as much as I do, but I love it. It's just a super fun game. It's something I can just pop in and have some mindless fun with, and sometimes that's all you really need. Alright, so now we're going to go into a category of games. This is a category that I kind of just want to go with, because this is a turn your brain off and just have fun category, where you don't have to think about anything. You can just drive or attack and have a good time. And these are ones that I really enjoy, because sometimes after a rough day at work or just life, you need a day, or you need games that aren't going to tax you mentally or make you think. I love RPGs, but I don't necessarily always want to be in a heavy story RPG. So that's where games like Darksiders comes into play. This is one, like I've said it in the past. I initially discovered this series through Darksiders Genesis, which is the 4th game in the series. Which, don't do that. Don't start on the 4th game in the series. Start on the first one. And when I eventually got to playing this, I just played this recently a couple of months ago, and I was blown away by just how fun it was, and just how simple and straightforward and just engaging it was. It was just a basic hack and slash action game. Sometimes that's what you need. You need something where you can just kind of turn the brain off, go on autopilot, and just get lost in the ability to destroy people. You know, that used to be shooters for me. Overwatch used to be very much that as well, until, you know, Overwatch 2 happened. Stupid Blizzard. But with Darksiders, it's something where I can actively just go into game and have fun and not worry about anything, because it's not taking itself too seriously or trying too hard to be something that it's not. It's just a bloody hack and slash. And that's kind of fun at times. You know what else is fun? Vehicular insanity. You can have Need for Speed, you can have games like Burnout Paradise, but I'm talking today about Cruise and Blast. I love the Cruisin' series. I think they're wonderful. This one does something that is really unique when compared to other arcade racers like Burnout Paradise or Hot Wheels Racing or anything like that, where it feels like an arcade experience. This is one you can pick up and play for 5 minutes and be satisfied, or you can sit down for 2 or 3 hours and have fun with it as well. And the game is just utter mayhem. You know, there's dinosaurs, there's UFOs, you're breaking through the world at points. It's just a ridiculous concept and such an over-the-top experience that just lends itself perfectly to the talents of the Raw Thrills team. It's really fun. It's really well made, and it's something where, for me, I love being able to just kind of shut my brain off and just drive and just go forward and have a good time. Now, this one I refuse to feel guilty about, because I actually think it's a really well done game. I think the controls are spectacular. I think the graphics are great. And yeah, I think Star Fox Zero is legit fun. I know a lot of people hate this game, and I don't get why. It does brilliantly incorporating motion controls and utilizing the Wii U gamepad to make the game more immersive and more exciting and more approachable. I think it's the most approachable Star Fox game we've ever had. I think it's better than any other Star Fox game. And yeah, I know maybe that makes me a bad Nintendo fan, but I don't really care. I like Star Fox. I love Star Fox Zero. It is the best looking Star Fox game we've ever had, although an argument can be made for Star Fox Assault on the GameCube. But for me, Star Fox Zero was one that when I got into it, this is the first time I actually felt like I was actively playing a Star Fox game. I felt like I was in the cockpit of the R-Wing. I felt like I was on the adventure because of the motion controls, because of that immersive nature of the Wii U control pad. Now, yeah, Star Fox Guard sucks, of course. Sure, it's not a great game, but Star Fox Zero, that game's legit. The only thing I think that has really eclipsed it as far as Star Fox gameplay goes is actually Starlink on the Switch. And that's only kind of a proxy Star Fox game. It's not a real Star Fox game, you know what I mean? All right, and the final category, and this one is a little bit of a guilty pleasure, not because the games are bad. I think they're fantastic, but it's a guilty pleasure because it's more of a genre where the idea is to be awful to the people around you. So think games like Donut County, where you're just causing mayhem for no reason other than to cause mayhem. Katamari falls into this as well, which is another fantastic series that I love. But for me, Rain on Your Parade is the first one up because this is a game that I got last year in January. I want to say 2023 in January, and I was expecting nothing from this. You know, this is a game from my friends at Premium Edition. I really love the content that they make. Not every game that they release clicks with me, but this is one that I was excited to try, but I didn't necessarily think I was going to love. And I did nothing but play this game for about a week until I completed it 100%. You know, everything from the standard game and the DLC was stuff that I just ran through and loved every second of. And you play as a rain cloud, and it's your job to cause mayhem in this city. Every level has an objective, every level has a goal, and yeah, it's really fun. And that goes hand in hand with the Untitled Goose Game. I will admit I was initially attracted to Untitled Goose Game because of the title of Untitled Goose Game. It's interesting. But it was something where I liked the concept of you playing a goose. Like, we all know about gooses. We all know about the cobra chickens, right? Like, this is something where we all kind of understand that geese are awful. And this is one where I saw the concept of it and I said, okay, that's clever. That's funny. It's not something I would have come up with. It's not something I think anybody really would have come up with, but it's at least intriguing enough for me to try. And when I got into game, I was just met with this amazing idea of what you needed to do. Like, you have different objectives that you need to complete, and it's up to you to do them the way you see fit. Whether it's stealing someone's glasses, whether it's torturing a child and making him fall down, and then tying his shoelaces together, whether it's committing a little bit of casual breaking and entering for families in the town, or stealing things and dragging them into the lake to piss off the farmer. There's so much to do in this game, and it's all to just cause chaos and enjoy the view. It's great. It's such a wonderful experience. It's such a fun game, and it's utterly ridiculous. If you have not played Untitled Goose Game, you need to, because it's absolutely brilliant. There you have it, folks. My guilty pleasure games or genres that, again, I don't really think they should be called guilty pleasures, because I don't think anyone should feel guilty about playing something that brings them happiness. Really, that's all it is. It might be a questionable experience. It might be something that you like that other people don't like, but ain't nothing wrong with that. As long as you're having fun, that's all that really matters. Play whatever you like. But do let me know down in the comments below, what would you classify as something you enjoy that is a guilty pleasure? Again, not something to feel bad about, just something you like that maybe other people don't. Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, please do click that thumbs up button down below. The engagement really helps the channel out. If you want to stick around, you can click that subscribe button as well. That is free. There's no charge to watch the videos. And if you really enjoy the work I do and you'd like to help support the channel further, you can either click the join button down below or click the Patreon link on screen or in the description. Love to have you stick around. Till next time, folks, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me today. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.